Okay, so today is Tuesday, October 16th, 2018. Today Dan and I are gonna go over a couple of the student things you can put in here as far as activities, both of which I use in my course all the time. If you're here at Trail, you have to at least be an intermediate Moodler to see both of these things. So if you're set up as intermediate or advanced, you'll see both of them. And those are the activities here of choice and feedback. And they have two different things, but they're both ways to get students' input on stuff. They're activities because the students do stuff, but they aren't necessarily things that I at least ever have done as a grade. So choice is just that. I'm going to go ahead and click on choice. Choice allows the students to choose from a list of things that you've given them, and in some cases, in every case, it also allows you to restrict the number of people choosing one thing or another. And I use it specifically for research projects so that the students choose the research project they want to do, but not too many people are doing any given research project. So if you pick choice, it says you can also use it as a quick poll. You can use it to study students' understanding, but I use it for the third thing, which is decision making. So if I click add a choice, and I'm going to add one just like I would do for the section 3 of the when I'm in, choose your choice. So the idea of a choice is that they're going to choose something from some list that you're giving them.
Is that Spanish?
No. Did I get it now? Is it English now?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mr. Wasson has joined us today from
Hello.
Eden Community Schools. Thanks, Mr. Wasson, for joining us.
Well, actually, I'm doing Science Olympiad, so I cannot share things to my National Trail students because apparently I do not have an active National Trail account. And I'm an outside source that I'm trying to share a Google shared document with them.
You definitely can. If I set you up an account, I can set you up an account again.
Because it did. They could all see it before, and now it's like...
You can't share to Google Docs to middle schoolers outside of Trail anymore. That was a choice we made on student safety stuff, because what would they be sharing to or from? And now we know. But I can add you as a person that can get that they can share to.
As a shareable person.
As a shareable person.
I appreciate that.
So do I have to do it right now?
It would be quite helpful as none of them can currently get to their rules for Science Olympiad.
Drew, Dan, will you take over this? Will I help Mr. Wassam, who's interrupting our Tech Tuesday,
I'm very
which is
sorry.
streaming live on YouTube right now?
I'm sorry, YouTubers.
So
This
you
is
take over
me
this.
being in trouble.
You can change what the choice is to something else, but basically I want to show how it displays, how you can put your options and limit, and I do that. I limit the number of choices, so I might say only 2 kids apiece can choose any given topic. Or will you take over this, Dan? And I'll help Mr. Watson over here on the other computer.
Well, hello. Lovely to be on camera now, Wasson. You will find something in your yard later on.
Right.
All right, so as Brian was actually saying, the choices that you can actually put into this, you can see that, choose your power supply presentation choice. Unfortunately, what power supply you're actually going for, I'd have a hard time going with this one.
You can switch that
So,
choice to something.
yeah, I am, because what you could actually do is say the date. All right, so I want to say we're going to choose your presentation date, and then that way, if you have a series of days in which people are going to actually do the particular project, you could write anything you want to in here. I mean, you could just do it as easy as saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or you could pick particular calendar days. You can say, let's say October 16th, You know, and if you have, let's say you have several time slots in on something like that, you could have that put in as well. So however particular you want to be with those. And like Brian said, you can pick the number of ones that are available in there. I'm just going to go with another one, October 17, and then down here, October 18. And you know, if you have a teeny tiny class of just like 6 kids, you could have it set up like so. You could add even more fields if you have even more options with this. Now, availability, you can actually also set when you want this the kids to actually be able to come into it, and when you want it to actually close. All right, publication stuff, these are things that you really don't necessarily need to mess with. Moodle settings, show the course page. All right. If you have an ID number, it goes along with it, so forth. Visible groups, these ones you don't really need to actually mess with. Restriction set, you can actually come in here and put a restriction set in and say that you want to have this only available to a particular class or people who have finished a particular assignment. You can make it restricted to people with whose last names start with a particular letter. All of those are possible within this. Activity completion, this is if you use those nice little check boxes that actually show up on the main page. If you want to actually, let the student see that they've actually completed this particular thing. Also set a date on that one as well. Competencies, so forth. And we go to save and display, so you can actually take a look at it. So a student would actually come in and make these selections. As the selections fill up from the students, the selections then of course are narrowed down. So if someone has come in and 2 students have actually picked the 16th, then that one would no longer be actually available. So all you have to do is they'd come in, click it, save my choice, and you can see it's visible to all of those students. Now, do you want them to actually, Brian, do you want them to actually be able to see the teacher to see who's picked what?
I do, and I allow my kids to see as well. When it's one of those things that they're choosing their presentation choice, I allow them to see. Now, there are obviously it might be some reasons that you might not, like if you were using this as a voting thing, which you certainly could allow people to vote for somebody with this, just like when we did the recent one that we did for Homecoming King and Queen. You could have used the choice module to do that. We ended up using the Google survey because it was just as easy to do. But so there's reasons to choose either way, but I don't see any reason why on most things you would allow students to see what the current choices are, unless it's something like that where they're voting for something. Is that what you were asking me?
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to remember I haven't used these in a little bit, but see, like viewing one response, there's you as your response. Now, what I've done before is, but I've had ones like this, is to actually download as an Excel format, so I can actually see all of them, across the board, and so that I can actually build other things with it. So
okay,
like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just use it just for that. I mean, the only thing I personally use Choice for is for research projects, because I want them to feel like, A, that they chose their topic within constraints, and B, I want to make sure that it's spread out, and it's easier to let them just log on and choose their own thing when they do it. I mean, you could show them one from down in section 4 if you wanted to, what that one looked like in my chapter 4, if you want to show them another one.
Is it in the demo area?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's rocketing to there. Okay.
There we go. Anymore, I think I just pick a chapter and use it. It's not in 3. There's none in 3. So if you go down a little bit, and the choice is right there. See where the question mark is?
Yeah.
So they click on that, and then they would pick one of those choices for their subject. That's a motherboard and a CPU manufacturer. So they each get to pick those, and it limits how many people can pick each one, so that they're limited on making sure that this is spread out. And for this one, it makes it so that the kids get to see all the different options that are out there in hardware. Otherwise, I've got to either go around and decide, and this way it just lets the decision get made for me. And then I also use this for restriction sets that once they've answered this, then they see the next part of the assignment kind of thing. So they have to have gone in and chosen which one that they want to do before they can actually see the entirety of the rubric and some of the other pieces as well.
That's where I see a good thing of being used on this is that you, if you're doing a research project, I mean, do you want, 20, 30 of the exact same thing?
Especially on the presentations. The kids don't want to watch the same presentation. I mean, how much are they going to learn if 30 kids do one on the exact same thing, whereas if all of them, or at least a couple of them, might repeat themselves, but in general, all of them are pretty much different presentations. So I would come up with connected content like these are for, I think you could for almost any research project that are close enough so that you hit your learning objectives, but not with the exact same choice on all the things. And you could use that for choosing different types of presentations too. Maybe say, hey, choose, do you want to do a PowerPoint, or do you want to do a collage, or do you want to, so you can say that kids can do different types of projects too. So it's, in this case, it's a PowerPoint presentation, but they could choose, they could make more than one choice. Now the thing is, with the choice module, there's only one question. That's it. It's a one question. That's why when people said they used it as a survey, you can't put in more than one choice. There's just, you can have lots of options, but there's only one question to choose from.
So you can do it, in a sense, as a survey, having, basically the unlimited number of times or unlimited choice.
Right.
All right.
But there's only one question.
Yeah, but there's only one question.
Yeah.
So, does it work all that well? I think the feedback one.
Well, if you're
is
going
a
to do
better
multiple
option.
things like that, but the problem with the feedback is you can't limit the number of options. Whereas this one, I can say 2 people can do that one, 2 people can do that one, 2 people can do that, and then
Well, that's because they're two different monsters. Man.
Right.
Can you make one do the other thing?
You could do a choice right after this one that says, what kind of project do you want to do? Do you want to do a PowerPoint or a collage or a make your own music video, or you could have a whole bunch of different options then on the kind of project they want to do, because I think one of the things that they're talking about, or we've been talking about for a while educationally, is giving the student choice and don't pigeonhole them to only one kind of project, which I basically have done with this one. It is a research project that culminates in a presentation of a PowerPoint on this particular one, but in many classes you can have a whole bunch of different options of doing that. The question is, with some of those other options, it may be just as good that the student learns as much, but in this particular project, it's not just about the kid doing the research, it's about the kids listening to that research, because they're getting graded on what they learned from the person presenting as well. Like I make test questions right out of these presentations that'll say something like, Brandon's presentation was an Intel CPU with an Asus motherboard. For his number 2 choice on this, and I'll ask a question about his presentation. They were not paying attention. And I actually give them guided sheets to help take notes on each other's presentations so that they're paying attention, because I want them to know what the other kids did. Because it does no good to spread out the presentations and have nobody listening to what they're talking about. So, and some are like, that's not fair. You ask a question about Brandon's, of course he's going to get that one right. It's like, yeah.
And I asked, what about yours
Right,
too?
what about yours too? So.
And you got that one wrong.
So anyway. So I do use these. I like the choice module for that in particular. If you have any kind of a project-based assignment, if you can spread out the projects a little bit between different areas and give the kids choice, I think that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, it's like I've only actually used this this particular one with the middle school CTC field trip.
The only thing you can't do with this, which I wish you could do, I wish you could have it do a choice, and if you can, correct me because I could be wrong. I don't think you can have different things show up based on that choice.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It would be great if I could have those 6 choices or however many choices there, and then based on your choice, you see different sections show up in Moodle. Like an entirely different project shows up for you because you chose that project. Now, there is a way to kind of do that. You could do it with, you could actually put a label with stash and say, pick up the project that you want to do. And as soon as they have that stash, then the other ones disappear and the project shows up. So it's kind of the same thing. It's just a lot more complex to do it than this. Although it's really kind of cool. And I
You
wanna-
can do it with a lesson.
Okay. You can have them choose and then based on their choice.
Yeah, based on what they choose in a lesson. And that's the thing is that you can't go backwards in a lesson either. If you hit the
But
back,
again, you wouldn't be able to limit them to the number of kids that could do that particular one. And see, that's where it's kind of confusing. That the thing I like about choice is the fact that you can limit how many people can make each choice. And I don't think there's any other thing in Moodle that lets you quite do that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But as I said, as far as the restriction set, how much of that have I actually totally explored? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that you can keep people out of and let people in on just ridiculous elements. I mean,
Yeah, it is real. That was one of the coolest things that they added in Moodle. So, okay, so that's the choice module. Do we have anything else to add to that one?
No, it's a pretty simple one.
Okay.
It's pretty user friendly. Can't really mess it up, break it, nothing like that.
So the other one we wanted to talk about is the feedback module. Seems like it's slow right now, doesn't it?
It's not registering my very first click.
Yeah, go
so.
to the demo area. It could be my mouse, I suppose. Where's my? No, it's still sticking out. So feedback is poorly named because to me that is the only survey in Moodle, and the survey tool is more like the choice tool, and that's why it's hidden because it doesn't do surveys.
We can change that name.
Well, then I have to. It's a lot of work to change everywhere the word feedback comes up, and that might confuse people that are already using feedback. So, anyways, feedback is a survey tool that allows you to ask any number of questions and get a visual representation of how people gave you feedback. I use feedback in every single course section. I use it as an end of course feedback tool, and I know that we've used it for feedbacks from our
Yeah, you can do it as an entry ticket,
services.
entry ticket, exit ticket. Anything from icons that are in it to how's your day.
Yeah. So go ahead and click add and we can show. Basically, it's kind of like a quiz, except for it's not a scored item. There's no way to score this one. So you might put, any information you want there in the description of it. But other than that, you really don't need to do anything other than that in feedback. You've already got everything that you have to put in there. You can add availabilities, you can add other things, but really, all you really have to do, you've already done. You just go ahead. Oh, that's the one thing I might do is I don't do anonymous feedbacks. I do user's name logged because so go ahead and click user's name will be logged, and I let's see, allow multiple submissions, enable notification, no, it's by normal, although, where's the other thing? We should have expanded all up top, I guess, because there are some things that, because there's some place where you allow students to change their answer. Click the question mark though, is that what that does? See, that go down. Groups, none.
Is it gone?
No, because my students are redoing their answers. So I don't know if maybe I did allow multiple submissions, and because the user's name logged, it means they can change theirs. I don't know. We'll have to look at ours. Go ahead and hit yes, and basically it's kind of like an empty, and then save. Once you're done with the setup of it, then you go and just add questions in there that you're going to ask. So there's a number of different question types you can see that are in there. You can make it do multiple pages. You can have information. I use the multiple choice, the numeric answer, and the short answer text all the time in mine to get student feedback. And then it looks like a bar graph when you're done.
Yes.
The new one does. So it looks really nice. You want to go down to any one of my course sections, and then we can show, just hit, okay.
What?
I was going to say hit a demo area and then go down. So go down to course introduction, doesn't matter which section. Every single one of my sections starts with a classroom introduction. So there's a self-assessment on every single one. Go ahead and click on analysis and you can see what the analysis looks like. So it builds a little graph showing, and these are I can statements basically on every one of my sections, so that they basically answer the question before class starts, and then every class after that they come back in and answer the questions, and then I go over anything that my class says they don't understand before we either leave the end of the section or before we do the final exam. Okay, and some of those, especially in that one, were just good to know questions. Like I asked them, who knows how to use Movie Maker? And this particular one,
Yeah.
I was getting information about them to try to get an understanding of what my students knew how to do. So before we actually got into the chapters of the class. So I have one of those in every single course section, and it's how I build my kind of section review before the test. Now, there's no reason to talk about things that 100% of your class says they know.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you've gathered other information from quizzes or something that says differently, that, obviously there's sometimes when students say they know something, but you go and give them a quiz and you're like, you didn't know that at all, kind of thing. So,
One thing you can do with this is that if you actually make a duplicate of this one and move it somewhere else, when it does, you'll have basically 2 points of data. So you can actually have a beginning one and an ending one, and you could actually, if you're a super data junkie, you then can actually measure the growth between beginning to end as far as what they understand, how they rated something. You can actually see change over time.
it show responses on there, would you? Does it show that my kids did?
Yeah, are these anonymous?
Because it's not.
Okay, if I click on that, then we'll see what they said. If you
And we'll see their names and stuff
Yeah.
on the video. So I guess not. I just wanted to see if.
How about show non-respondents? But everybody, Well, that's the
same
thing.
You
It's
still
that-
see the names.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Submitted answer 7. So it sounds like go to my edit settings over on the left for this. So did I allow? So I did.
Yeah, you did.
So when you say allow multiple submissions, it just overwrites the student's previous response, which is what it used to do in 1.9, and then it stopped doing in 3.1. I used to have to delete their their responses.
second one. Did you have to delete their second response?
Yeah. In order to get it so they could.
Because I think that was actually a complaint.
It was weird because I wanted, when I said I wanted multiple submissions, I didn't want it to show all those. I wanted to just know what their current thought was, right? I wanted to go back and update their previous submission.
Well, that's the thing is that if you did want to see whether there's changed from here
Then
to
you just
here,
copy
you
it.
just do
Yeah.
a copy or a duplicate one and see it again the next time. So, yeah. Now,
So you could go and show the questions if you wanted to. I mean, mine aren't very complex. And just click on that, yeah. And you can see when you hit edit, right. So basically, mine were yes, no questions, but you could put any number of things in the multiple choice, and you can also set whether they have to answer the question or they don't have to answer the question in order to complete the feedback.
yeah.
And most of mine, they have to I want all of your feedback, not part of your feedback, kind of thing.
Yeah, the nice thing is, this is a Google form that's built into Moodle.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not any harder to do than a Google form either.
No.
I mean, it really isn't. I mean, the Google form is a little gooier, but it's not like this one's hard.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's like, here's the thing. It is like, let's say on editing the question, it was like, the question area is just pretty doggone simple with it. If you wanted a label or so, here's
Hit
where you click for
required.
the required.
If you hit you unrequired that question when you were playing with it.
Did I?
Yeah, that's okay. Just click it. And you can see the multiple choice values. You can put whatever you want to down there.
Yeah. I don't think I did.
Yeah, maybe you didn't. See how it has a little asterisk next to it?
See, set as not required.
Oh, that's because you just said it as required. I don't know what that one is. That's weird.
See, it was not required before.
I don't know how that happened. If you went to the next chapter one, I think they're all set as required. You can tell because there's no asterisk.
So number two.
See the asterisk? I know. No, that's the symbol for whether it's required or not.
That's an exclamation.
Okay, that's what I meant.
You know exclamation points.
Don't make fun of me and my use of exclamation
See,
points.
I was like, see, required field, and there's nothing up there for those. Yeah, I was like, now would it be nice, these ones I don't think you can actually, you can't bring anything like HTML as in one of these questions, can you?
I don't
They're
think
just
so.
basic.
Well, click on it. I don't think so though. No,
Is it- yeah,
they're extremely basic and straightforward. Look how that one didn't go over. And so whoever edited this theme didn't do a very good job.
It won't do it.
I don't know why. That is a crazy.
Well, it's one of the funny things is that it does not actually see these things together. That's actually like sitting there behind it. Because if I go in and change where this information is, you will see white pop out all the way over to here for just this, this.
But
selection.
not every theme does that.
I don't know.
It's something with the theme writers that they
But
messed up. Is there any other student feedback parts of Moodle that we could talk about after those two? Because those are pretty easy, but I think they're nice things that teachers can add into their course.
Yeah.
Is there another feedbacky?
not really. I mean, if you want a forum thing, is where they, but
That's
I
something
don't think it's really
different
necessary
altogether.
for feedback. It's
Yeah.
more or
For
less for
student engagement to
yeah.
get them talking between each other on a given topic.
which I think's
I don't know, it's pretty easy. I mean, I really do think that especially both of these are pretty darn simple once you learn what.
I would say if you're doing exit tickets or entry tickets in your class on subjects or I can statements, if you're not doing what you're doing, all right, then you're missing out on a great opportunity.
Well, it'd be really easy now. I didn't think about it, but I should. Back in 1.9, there was no duplicate button. Now with the duplicate button, I can just duplicate it, move it down to the right before the test, and have that as a thing that we do a separate survey right before the test. And like you said, have something that I can see that, okay, nobody understood this stuff beforehand, now they all understand this stuff, which I'm losing that part of it by not having it duplicated. I really should. And the other thing I could do with the restrictions set, I could make 2 copies, and as soon as they submitted one, now they see the other one. It doesn't look like it's a different one. I tell them to redo it, and now I have their baseline data from before we took the class every time, and have a different one again, and they wouldn't even know that.
No, they would
never.
never. Yeah, I never know. And if you wanted to, you could throw the stuff. Leave it right there. If you have a big class and you need to actually see it on a spreadsheet, you can.
We need to
export it.
we need to do a whole class on the restriction set thing, because I think there are very few of us using that at all. Although I think it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The only bad thing about it is it pollutes my class. When I look at it, it looks great when everybody else looks at it, I wish there was a view that we had that didn't show anything but the class and everything in it. Because if you say view as a student, do you see everything? Go put in my course. Because do you see the things as if you've already completed them if you view as a student? I'm not sure what now with it, because they've changed it a lot,
Yeah,
right?
so here are your restriction sets. All right. So if I go in and let's see.
You have to return to your normal role first, because I'm already switched to intermediate Moodle.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Go on. Oh.
I know my course is so big. That's the thing. I really liked the.
It's not the biggest course though. I've heard of much larger. All right, student.
So if I go in as a student and now say I don't see. So go to chapter 2. Do you see everything in chapter 2 like you've accomplished them? No. Those are only things that I think I've done, and until you do those things, the other things don't show up. And that's what I'm saying. I wish there was a view you could see as a student as if all the things were completed. So you actually saw them all.
So you want a student to be able to see them all?
No, I want to see them.
Oh.
As a teacher, I want to see them without all the restriction sets and everything showing up. You know what I mean? That's
All right.
that's what pollutes my view.
Then there should be one. I mean, if you can actually set, if there's one set for student, then there should be one, easily named, let's say, clean teacher view.
What happens when you go to a hidden teacher? Or I mean, a non-editing teacher. What do they see it like? Do they see it with the they see all the restriction sets too?
Are we still rolling?
Huh?
Alright.
I'm just wondering if there's some choices that I can make and make a new view
All right. Well,
that shows the activities without all the restrictions and showing up. Maybe we want those always to show up. I don't know.
where I don't see it over here. Where's the permissions thing at?
Oh, you're not editing teacher right now. You won't see them. Wouldn't it be under users?
Yeah.
I don't think that's one. I don't think that's what we're talking about looking at though. Oh, there we go. Permissions in course.
Yeah. All right. So if you
What if you click in the filter? Just don't do that. And under the filter, type in restriction. Ignore activity restrictions. Okay, so all those things, ignore them, but does that mean they have to see them? So what if you added student to ignore activity restrictions? They couldn't, not time, the next one down. If you, I mean, I think that would, I don't know, would that let them see the restrictions too? Or would it just let them see the activities without the restrictions? I don't know what that would do. Not editing teacher is on there. So what? Just the add student. Hit plus and add student, and we're going to switch to the student view. Yep. I mean, worst case, it's going to break it. Okay. So now go back and switch to student, and I want to see what it looks like. We're going to have to come back here. Okay, so scroll down. Before we can only see chapter 2. So now we can see them all. So hit chapter 3. You can. So I just need to make a student, take the student view and make it something that a teacher has access to and call it clean teacher or something like that. Because then you could switch to that and just have a clean view. If you click on those right now, click on the, click on it. What does it do? Does it say you don't have access?
It looks like it's
It
gonna.
says a quiz opened. Oh yeah, this one. See, normally you wouldn't be able to see it, so.
Well, the thing would be is that if you were because see, even though you're looking at as a student right now, you're not actually a student. So if you log in as a student now, do we still have that fake student?
No, I don't think I made that fake student this year. But that's what I wanted right there. I want to see what it would look like without all the crap on it. And
Well, yeah, it does give you that, but
that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a view that I could see, but you need to undo that, what you just did on the restrictions. Take student off there, and then I have to do it. We probably could finish today. Let me go ahead and hit my finish streaming. I'm gonna hit something on the keyboard if you don't mind.
Good.